Today we continue Bojjhangha Sutta. First we need to recite Bojjhangha Sutta Pali. We recite together slowly. Samsare samsarandanam Savadoga vinasane Sadadameja bojjhanghe Marasena bamadane Bojjhanga yeji me saddam Divawa Moda Gaudamam Ajadi Majarabhyade Amadane Bayangatam Evamadi Gunu Bedam Aneka Guna Singaham Osadin Jai Mamandam Bojjhangha Jabana Mahe Bojjhanga Sati Singhatam Dhammana Vijaya Datam Viriyam Piti Pasati Bojjhanga Jadatabare Samadhi Vika Bojjhanga Sadede Savadasinam Munina Samadagatam Pavita Bahuligatam
Recording in progress.
Savitandilabinyayam Nivanaya Jabodiyam Edena Sijja Vijenam Sudhite Hodu Savedam Eka Same Samaye Natam Mogalana Jagasapam Ilane Dogite Deswam Bojjhangha Satta Desayi Tejada Binandedwam Roga Mochendu Dinkane Edena Sijja Vijenam Sudhite Hodu Savedam Egada Dhammarajabi Kelenyena Bibilidam Yona Derena Dayevam Penabidwana Sadaram Samodesana Avadam Dhammavodasidhanasam Edena Sijja Vijenam Sudhite Hodu Savedam Pinadeja Badam Dinanam Bimahesinam Megahada Gilesavam Padanovati Dhammadam Edena Sijja Vijenam Sudhite Hodu Savedam. English translation. Having known by way of experience the 11 kinds of Dhamma called factors of enlightenment, which destroy all suffering of beings who wander through this samsara, rounds of rebirths, and which defeat the army of Mara, the evil one. These excellent persons were liberated from the three kinds of existence. They have reached nirvana, where there is no rebirth, aging, disease, death, and dangers. O good people, let us recite this Bojjhangha Sutta, which is endowed with the aforementioned attributes, which gives not a few benefits, and which is like a medicine and a mantra. These seven factors of enlightenment, namely mindfulness, investigations of dhammas, effort or energy, cess, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity, which are well expounded by the all-seeing sage, promote, when practiced repeatedly, penetrations of the truth, cessation of suffering, and knowledge of the path. By this utterance of truth, may there always be happiness for you. Once when the Lord saw Moggallana and Kassapa being unwell and suffering, he preached the seven factors of enlightenment. They, having rejoiced at the discourse, immediately were free from the disease. By this utterance of truth, may there always be happiness to you. Once when the kings of the Dhamma was oppressed by disease, here the Venerable Chonda recited the discourse respectfully, and having rejected the discourse, was immediately cured of the disease. By this utterance of truth, may there always be happiness to you. The diseases of the three great sages that were eradicated reached a stage of never occurring again, like the mental defilements eradicated by the path. By this utterance of truth, may there always be happiness to you. Today, the fourth Bojjhangha factors, joy, enlightenment, Piti Sambojjhangha. In this regard, Buddha said to Venerable, Buddha said in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, Santam wa ijatam Piti Sambojjhangam, Atime ijatam Piti Sambojjhangodi Bojjhanati. Asantam wa ijatam Piti Sambojjhangam, Natime ijatam Piti Sambojjhangodi Bojjhanati. If the joy enlightenment factors is present in him, he knows there is joy enlightenment factors in me. If the joy enlightenment factor is not present in him, he knows there is no joy enlightenment factors in me. So it is not very easy to arouse the joy enlightenment factors. Yogi need to practice diligently. The practice of Satipatthana meditation and the enlightenment factors start to arise at the fourth stage of insight knowledge. The insight knowledge arises when yogis see Namarupa arising and vanishing clearly. Bojjhanga start at the jhana number 4 because the enlightenment factors are not something inferior. Bojjhanga's enlightenment factors are really superior phenomena. They are the parts of your realization of Four Noble Truths. So when piti arises, yogi need to know, yogi need to observe. If you do not observe, you will enjoy the piti and you will have no progress in the practice. So when piti arises, yogi need to observe immediately. In our mundane life, people are happy and gratified when they obtain what they want, when their dreams comes true, so they become happy. But such happiness or gratification associated with craving and sensual desire is not wholesome. It is akusala piti, unwholesome joy. But when you come to practice, you have to give up many things to get concentration, momentary concentration. Moment by moment, you need to accumulate, you need to collect, and concentration getting strengthened. To be free from mental hindrances, not easy. And the joy enlightenment factors, piti sambojjhanga, is happiness or gratification that takes place when you get satisfied with your Dhamma experience. Ordinary people cannot be patient to get that experience because the whole day you are practicing our 18 hours, 19 hours, not only one day, 1 month complete. Some, they have to practice more to gain the kinds of piti sambojjhanga. So the characteristics of piti is to be satisfied or to be gratified. The function is to infuse excellent rupa, excellent physical phenomena. The manifestations of piti is to feel light physically and mentally. So the function is to make healthy physical phenomena pervade your whole body. The kinds of healthy rupa are very necessary. It can be applied for for the healing of jewel, for the sick people. When the healthy physical rupa pervade the whole body, which is why some kinds of sickness may get healed and cured. So Venerable Mahakasapa fully recovered from his sickness because of this Piti Sambhujanga, joy enlightenment factors, developed by listening to the Buddha's recitation of 7 enlightenment factors, starting with the Sati Sambhujanga. Sati Sambhujanga ko kasapa meya samadekado bhavito bhulikado Benyaya Sambodhaya Nibbanaya Samvidati. So Buddha responded to Venerable Mahakasapa. Here Kasapa, I've well expounded the mindfulness enlightenment factors. If developed repeatedly and activated, it would be conducive to extraordinary knowledge and penetrative knowledge and nirvana. So when you recite the Pali, you may notice Bhavita Bhulikata Abhinyaya Sambodhaya Nibbanaya. Abhinya, you remember Pali, Abhinyaya Sambodhaya Nibbanaya. So that Pali words are the results of the developing Bojjhangha. So when Buddha expounded these Bojjhangha Sutta to Venerable Mahakasapa and Venerable Mahamoggallana, we need to visualize how pleasant, how admirable it would be to listen to Buddha's recitation of Bojjhangha, 7 factors of enlightenment. Of course, now Sangha recitation, our recitation cannot be as pleasant as Buddha. Buddha recitation is excellent, and the listener may not have developed the Piti Sambhujanga fully, like Venerable Mahakasapa did, because Venerable Mahakasapa was Arhan. He knew this Bojjhanga very well. He developed this Bojjhanga very well. So the listener, we, having not developed the Piti Sambhujanga or other Bojjhanga to the same extent as Venerable Mahakasapa and Venerable Mahamoggallana did, cannot feel as joyful as Venerable Mahakasapa was. When Buddha expounded this sutta, Venerable Mahakasapa was so joyful. So we both, The reciter and listener are inferior ones compared to fully enlightened Buddha and Venerable Margasaba, who was an Arahant. But we may get some benefits by reciting and developing the Bojjhangha. So if you understand Pali, you would find it very pleasant to hear as someone reciting the enlightenment factors. You would be greatly happy to hear this Bojjhangha Sutta if you have ever developed the mindfulness until you are able to be mindful of all phenomena that become manifested to you and see them newly arising and vanishing. If you have ever experienced the mindfulness enlightenment factors, you will definitely feel joyful by refreshing your Dhamma experience while listening to the recitation. Here, Buddha said that he well expounded the enlightenment factors. Well expounded. Pali, you have to recognize Samadakato. Well expounded means correctly expounded. Correctly expounded, it is said because Buddha expounded this Bojjhangha from his own experience, but not from logical thinking or reasoning. There are many people who are teaching something without their own experience. There are some people who are teaching meditation or other subjects without having practiced it to a satisfactory extent. But they may be known as great teachers. Actually, some teachers have never practiced meditation properly and correctly with a good teacher. So it is ridiculous that the kinds of teacher criticize the good teachers. By contrast to them, it is from his own experience that Buddha has well expounded the enlightenment factors. Samadakato. He practiced vipassana meditation intensively. Sitting with legs crossed under the body tree, and developed enlightenment factors, Bojjhangha, including the joy enlightenment factors. Actually, Buddha did not expound these Bojjhangha or Dhammas immediately after his full enlightenment. Buddha spent 7 weeks or 49 days after he became the Buddha. And then he considered whether it is worth expounding the Dharma to those beings whose wisdom eyes were not polluted. Even after he had made decision to teach, he had to wait for the right time to give his first sermon, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. So he became fully enlightened on the full moon day of May, but he gave his first sermon, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, on the full moon day of July, 2 months after his enlightenment. That is why Buddha said that he, having accomplished the Dhamma, expounded Dhamma well. That means Buddha taught Dhamma correctly from his own experience, like how to practice Dhamma correctly, how to develop the mindfulness, how to realize the Four Noble Truths by developing the enlightenment factors, Bojjhangha. So when you recite the Bojjhangha Sutta, you need to recognize Bhavita Bahulikata. The phrase, if developed repeatedly and activated. In this passage means that enlightenments are what to be developed, but not just to be memorized. Some teachers may explain what the joy enlightenment factor is from what they have learned. Such teaching cannot be reliable. Enlightenment factors, Bojjhangha, are what we have to develop, but not what to learn from other people. So here, developed means to increase Bojjhangha in number and in degree. Yogi make an initial effort to make mindfulness to come into existence. First, a single moment of mindfulness may arise in yogi, which is not developed yet, because it is only a single moment of mindfulness. And then it arises again when yogi make effort. So yogi have got 2 or 3 moments of mindfulness and even more. That is how enlightenment factors increase in number and in degree. For example, there arises 1 moment of mindfulness when you note rising, because you are noting hitting the rising abdomen. And then you know falling, hitting thoroughly. So 2 moments of mindfulness when you note falling, rising and falling all gone, and then you note the third one, rising again, and you note rising. And then you have got 3 moments of mindfulness. After a while, you find your mind thinking. You know the thinking. Then you got 4 moments of mindfulness. And then you want to bend your hands and you note bending the hands. And now how many mindfulness you have? You have got 5 moments of mindfulness. In this way, yogi have to increase the moments of mindfulness both in number and in degree until it culminates in Megapala enlightenment. For some yogis, their paramis are mature enough. Previous life also they practice and their paramis very mature. They may need 90 or 100 moments of mindfulness to accomplish their Megapala enlightenment. But some yogis may need 2,000 moments of mindfulness or 3,000 moments of mindfulness or 10,000 or 100,000 or 200,000 and so on. It depends on their paramis. Some yogis may even need a billion moments of mindfulness. They need to develop because their parami in not mature. So depending on how mature their parami are, they need to develop. There is a meaning of bhavita bhulikata. Bhavita bhulikata. If developed repeatedly and activated, and then yogi have result abhinyaya, sambodhaya, nibbanaya, samvitanti or samvidati. Regarding abhinyaya, extraordinary knowledge, Buddha clearly stated that if you develop as many moments of mindfulness as required, it would bring you extraordinary knowledge and penetrative knowledge of 4 noble truths. So it means that you can attain extraordinary knowledge only by developing mindfulness, but not by memorizing the 4 noble truths. Intellectual knowledge is not penetrative knowledge. So Bojjhangha, extraordinary knowledge means experiential knowledge. It is only through experiential knowledge that you will truly realize the 4 noble truths. At the Uddiyabhya Jnana, the knowledge of rise and fall, for instance, with every moment of your mindfulness, yogi will empirically see Namarupa arising newly and vanishing immediately. because you have been collecting the Namarupa for many times. So now you empirically see these Namarupa arising newly and vanishing immediately. So yogi will realize Dukkha, the truth of suffering. Yes, it is true. It is suffering because arising newly and vanishing immediately. Sometimes yogi may even see these Namarupa when they are just about to arise, like getting their head through the window before intruding. In this way, yogi can see them starting to arise and coming to an end right afterward. Yogi may see them vanishing immediately in the same way as the flame ceases suddenly. So yogi can see one phenomena after another arising newly and vanishing immediately, moment by moment, segment by segment. This is how yogi become aware of them through your powerful mindfulness. Some people think that intellectualization is even better than just observing the presently arising phenomena. They think they think intellectualization is more important. The intellectualization is not much different from learning something by heart. Intellectualization or logical thinking is always subject to the second thought because something else seems to be true if he see it from different perspective. Through intellectualization, he may find Namarupa to be permanent, Namarupa to be, he think Namarupa to be permanent and Namarupa permanent. If he think Namarupa impermanent and Namarupa become impermanent. So it depends on his standpoint. He may think, yes, there is mind and matter, no self, no self-living entity. If you think like this, and yes, there is only Nama and Rupa, no living entity. But if he think there is no Nama Rupa, only uh, uh, only living entity, eternal soul, there comes living entity or eternal soul. So logic or intellectualization is always subject to the second thought, or it often arises confusion. Intellectualization can never shed light on Paramattha, on ultimate truth. So we can only see the ultimate reality, ultimate truth, by observing the presently arising phenomena concurrently. So that is why Buddha described the development of mindfulness as ekayano. This is the only way for the realizations of nirvana. Development of mindfulness is the only way that directly leads to Megaphala and Nirvana. If you practice mindfulness meditation, surely you will reach Nirvana, cessation of all suffering. It is only one way. So if yogi develop mindfulness constantly by observing every phenomena manifested to your six senses, or if you observe the four foundations of mindfulness, if you observe the body, if you observe the feeling, if you observe the consciousness and Dhamma, yogi will surely see Namarupa clearly. You can capture these Namarupa if you observe them concurrently. If you don't see Namarupa, that means you do not observe very precisely and continuously. So you do not see. So if yogi are mindful of them, the four kinds of objects, kaya, body, vedana, feeling, citta, consciousness, and dhamma, yogi will see Namarupa very clearly as if they were to come out of where they are hidden. There are only two things for the yogis to be aware of: rupa, physical phenomena which are not cognitive, and nama, mental phenomena which are cognitive. It is even impossible for you not to see them if you keep observing them concurrently. By observing presently phenomena concurrently, yogi will see nama and rupa, mind and matter separately. They are two separate phenomena. They are in nature totally different from each other. In this regard, Buddha gave a simile of certain kinds of jewel called veluria, which is described as a precious stone, yellow and green, mixed in color. Veluria is a jewelry of which a bead is made with a string put through its hole. The string may be yellow, blue, red, or black in color. Veluria jewelry is so transparent that you can see the string distinctively and separately from the Veluria bead itself. But you won't see the two distinctively and separately unless you look at the bead carefully or unless you have good eyesight. In the same way, if yogi are mindful of namarupa, every time they are manifested through your six senses, or every time you see, every time you hear, smell, taste, touch, and recognize, yogi will for sure see nama rupa distinctively and separately. When you watch the rising movements of the abdomen, you will see the rising is one and the awareness of the rising separately and as nama and rupa, mind and matter, respectively. In the same way as you see Veluria beads separately from the string in it. When you become aware of bending, for example, the bending represent a rupa, physical phenomena, and awareness of the bending is mental, nama. So you can see two kinds of phenomena separately, like seeing the string in a Veluria jewelry. With every moment of your mindfulness, you can find only two things, nama and rupa, mind and matter. Objects is matter, rupa, and awareness of it is nama, mind. That is all and nothing else. So many yogis see very clearly. However, if we don't observe phenomena concurrently, everything would seem to us like lasting forever. Many people think they never die. But if we think very deeply, every arising is not lasting, arising and disappear. So now we are here and we disappear very, very soon because there is arising. When there is arising, there will be disappearing. So everything would seem to these people like lasting forever. And everybody would seem to represent eternal soul. They may elusively think it is I who make the body bend because he is not mindful the bending. When he analyze, it is I who think. It is I who analyze. Pain, he not mindful. It is I who experience pain, pleasure, joy. he do not mindful. So he think it is I who experience pleasure and joy. I being the same person from the day I was born till now. They think like this because they not mindful, they not practice meditation. However, if yogi become aware of the present phenomena, yogi will find nothing but only namarupa changing at every moment. The moments are changing, the functions are changing, the characteristics of the phenomena are changing at every moment. Now, yogi very careful to observe the kinds of different functions of the phenomena, different moments of the phenomena, and different characteristics of the phenomena by paying attention to the objects coming to you. So seeing nama and rupa, body and mind distinctively and separately means the penetrative insight into nama and rupa. This represents the first stage of extraordinary knowledge, abhinya. Ordinary people cannot realize this much. They just accept it superficially, but not from the bottom of their hearts. Although they are teaching, as they have learned, that there is nothing but mind and matter, they may not really appreciate this fact. Even while they are talking about non-self, anatta, they still think, it is I who am now talking, it is I who am teaching, it is I who is explaining. So there is always the illusory sense, atta, illusory sense of atta behind their sitting, standing, walking. I sit, I stand, I walk, I bend, and I talk, and I analyze, I think, etc. There's always the illusory sense of atta, I, or me. So although they understand Namarupa intellectually, their understanding does not mean abhinya, extraordinary knowledge, sambodha, the realizations of Four Noble Truths. So abhinyaya, sambodhaya, realizations of Four Noble Truths comes along with the realizations of Nama and Rupa. By observing presently arising phenomena that are manifested at your six senses, eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body and mind, yogi can develop the extraordinary knowledge, that is the discernment of upadana, the clinging accessible aggregates at your first stage. First of all, yogi become aware of nama and rupa as they really are. And then yogi will see this nama rupa arising and vanishing. Yogi may even see them at the moment when they are about to become fully manifested, like putting their heads through the window before intruding. And if you may also see them coming to an end immediately afterwards. So in this way, yogi will see them arising and coming to an end, segment by segment. Then nobody needs to convince yogi that they are impermanent. You yourself realize their impermanence from your own experience. Realizations of impermanence itself means realizations of dukkha, realizations of anatta. Because you have found them arising and vanishing on their own accord, but not under anybody's controls. Nobody can create them unless conditions are met. Nobody can prevent Namarupa from arising when conditions are met. So yogi realized anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, unsatisfactory, and non-self. So in this way, yogi realized dukkha sitya, truth of suffering, every time you discern mind and matter. Realizations of the dukkha sitya, truth of suffering, leaves no room for attachment to them. No room for attachment to nama and rupa because you have found them to be impermanent, unsatisfactory, and devoid of self. Initially, yogi thought Namarupa was something pleasant, they are pleasurable, something that represents I. But now yogi have found nothing pleasant belonging to I in Namarupa. So yogi eradicate the attachment Dana to Namarupa. Dana is the truth of the origin of suffering. So the realizations of the truth of the origin of suffering means the eradications of that that attachment. So it is called Bahana Pativeda, realization in terms of eradication. So such realization in terms of the eradications of attachments leaves no room for your kilesa, mental defilements, and karma, and their resultant rebirth and death. That is what is called cessations of suffering. Cessation of suffering, that noble truth. So every time yogis see mind and body, nama and rupa as they really are, the suffering five aggregates, which would be generated by attachment to them, will surely cease. Yes, if we fail to see Nama and Rupa as they really are, there will arise attachment and attachment-based kilesa and karma, and it will lead to rebirths. Once we are reborn, we are destined to aging, sickness, and death. So that is how this endless cycle of suffering, dukkha, is generated. So every moment of mindfulness means one step closer to the cessation of suffering. You are closer and closer to nirvana. Because every time you try to be mindful. So the cycle of suffering is constantly generated by the attachment. The attachment comes into existence as a result of the failure to be aware of Nama and Rupa as they really are. So as a matter of fact, the noble path, Megasija, is all about the development of your mindfulness. It is called Vipassana Maganga. So now you understand how you realize the Four Noble Truths when you reach the stage of Udayabhya Jnana, the arising and disappearing of the Namarupa. You realize Four Noble Truths. The truth of suffering, the truth of the origin of suffering, and the truth of the cessation of suffering, the truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering. You realize when you reach the stage of Udayabhya Jnana, that is according to the commentary. So this insight represents the first stage of Abhinya, extraordinary knowledge. Of course, at the highest stage of your Vipassana insight knowledge, the realizations of the Four Noble Truths will go deeper and deeper, and the full realization of the truths will come along with mega enlightenment, which the progressive stage of Vipassana insight will culminate in. Then yogi will truly realize the truth of cessation of suffering, Nirodha Sija. You will truly realize. A yogi will definitely witness Nibbana. And at the same time, yogi will clearly understand that Nama and Rupa being constantly tortured by impermanence, they are solely suffering, whole mass of suffering. A yogi eradicate the attachment to them depending on which stage of mega enlightenment you have attained. So the noble truth of cessation of suffering means the experience of Nibbana. So that is how yogi attain the Abhinya, extraordinary knowledge of the Four Noble Truths. So we will continue tomorrow. We have to stop our discourse for today. May you develop 7 factors of enlightenment. Sati Bojjhangha, Dhamma Vijaya, Viriya, Piti, Pasati, Samadhi, and Upekha Bojjhangha. May you practice Vipassana meditation diligently by noting, rising, falling, sitting, touching, seeing, hearing, and continuously and meticulously. May all yogis realize that may all yogis be liberated from suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future. So, sight